Did you know that there have been over 22 deaths associated with Jeffrey Epstein? Let's just examine a few of them. Virginia Giuffre was one of Epstein's most vocal accusers. She filed legal action against Epstein and Maxwell, and she almost saw herself as a voice for all of the accusers and encouraged other women to stand up and tell their stories. Earlier this year, Virginia claimed that she was hit by a school bus. She was then put into a hospital. She posted a photo on her social media with herself covered in bruises. It's a bizarre photo. And then a short while later, she was found dead after allegedly self-deleting. Curiously, she died just a few months before the Department of Justice and FBI made official Epstein disclosures, and the Epstein story was brought again into the media. I think it's very lucky for the people in power that Virginia is dead right now, because she would have some stories and she would have been extremely vocal in searching for the truth. There's also Jean-Luc Brunel, a close friend of Epstein's and a talent scout. He owned modeling agencies and he ran his own sex trafficking empire in France. Jean-Luc was tied in very closely with Epstein and he provided young teenagers to Epstein for his operation. There are lots of stories and lots of accusations that were made against Jean-Luc Brunel. Jean-Luc was arrested in 2020, but in 2022, right before his trial, he was found dead in his jail cell. And just like his buddy Epstein, he had allegedly hanged himself while in prison. There are lots of similar discrepancies in the story of what happened to Jean-Luc Brunel, security cameras that weren't on, people that weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing, but I don't really see people talk about this as much, even though this was obviously some sort of targeted hit. There's also Jeffrey Epstein's former business partner in a Ponzi scheme, Steven Hoffenberg. Steven and Jeffrey were incredibly close. Now, Steven's death is interesting. He died in 2022, but he died alone inside of his apartment, and the details surrounding exactly what happened to Steven are still murky and unclear, but his body wasn't found for almost an entire week. And just before he died, in what turned out to be a sort of deathbed confession, Steven Hoffenberg told a news outlet that Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were collecting sexual blackmail on powerful people, and he claimed that Epstein was supplying his handlers with this content all the time, once a week, once a month, all the time. There's also Mark Middleton, a former Clinton aide who allowed Jeffrey Epstein to visit the White House in the 1990s. He was closely tied into the Epstein thing, and there are a lot of mysterious things surrounding Mark Middleton. But in 2022, Mark Middleton was found in an orchard in Arkansas. He had allegedly hanged himself and while hanging had shot himself at the same time. No one knows why he allegedly went to this orchard, but his death coincided with Ghislaine Maxwell's trial and renewed talks about Epstein. I examined all 22 of these deaths in a new video on my YouTube channel, The Conspiracy Files. It is an absolutely dark and disturbing dive, and the link is going to be in my bio.